This episode of Return to Base is brought to you by Black Rifle Coffee Company. Black Rifle Coffee Company is veteran-owned and serves premium coffee and content to people who love America. We already know that Black Rifle Coffee roasts the best Colombian and Brazilian beans on the planet in the facilities in Manchester, Tennessee, and Salt Lake City. But did you know that Black Rifle Coffee Company is on a mission to hire 10,000 veterans in the next 5 years? This is why I pick their coffee over others and drink it every time and everywhere, from bumping around in Humvees all the way to sitting here recording this podcast. Black Rifle Coffee Company is the real deal. They put up when others shut up. If you're ready to taste the freedom, go to blackriflecoffee.com/RTB and use coupon code RTB20 for 20% off your one-time order or coffee club membership. Hey, and while you're there, sign up for the coffee club. It's a subscription-based coffee experience. They'll send monthly shipments of coffee right to your door so you never miss a fill-up of freedom. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Return to Base podcast. This week, you're in for a treat. We have Cliff Walker. He's a U.S. Navy veteran. He was in the Gulf War, and he served 23 years as a firefighter medic with the Navy Federal Firefighting Service. Try saying that 10 times fast. He's also the founder and CEO of USS Battle Series, which is a functional fitness competition that brings a new level of awareness in terms of health, fitness, and mental well-being for our United States Armed Forces, first responders, and those in our local communities that support our brave men and women. It's America's fitness competition, ladies and gentlemen. It's pretty cool, too, because what's unique about this particular fitness competition is it's held on board U.S. Navy ships, retired ships. So go check it out at USSBattleSeries.com. But for now, hope you enjoyed the podcast.
Bravo Zulu, this is Victor Lima. We are RTB. This is Return to Base, a VeteranLife podcast.
Cliff, what's going on, man?
Hey, how are you, brother? Thanks for having me on tonight. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you for joining us. I know that you've had a long day.
We all have.
Yeah, we've all had long days, right? But I know that you're out there running your business, running USS Battle Series, and I assume you're getting ready for another event coming up soon.
You would be correct. We're supposed to be out in Charleston, South Carolina, June 11th and 12th, and teaming up with the long-running 30-year Firefighter Challenge. We're hoping for a good kind of a restart here, right after coming out this last couple of years. So we had to shut down our last event. We thought we were coming out of all this back on Veterans Day aboard the Hornet in San Fran, but so that was a tough one. But we're ready and we're happy to be back, man, to do what we do.
Yeah. How did the pandemic affect you guys? I assume probably pretty heavily, considering the business relies so much on close human interaction, working out, even though it's outdoors. I mean, if we knew then what we know now, they'd have been like, go get some fresh air.
Dude, I'm right, man. Like, it's everything they told. That's right.
Yeah. Well, but I guess we were dealing with the cards that we knew we had, and looking back, I don't know, a modicum of caution was probably prudent at the time, but now I know some of us are pretty bitter about it. But I'll tell you what, we'll get to USS Battle Series and the business. I kind of I like, since this is a veteran podcast, I like to dive in and talk a little bit about, what inspired you to join the U.S. Navy, and how long did you spend there? You said you were in the Gulf War, right? So you're no spring chicken, man, but
no, man. No,
you look really young, man. You look really young. You look good.
Well, I was telling someone earlier, man, I signed this contract and it could be up any day, man. So I'm just happy to be here. So halfway through the contract might just kind of go up in smoke, and that will be it, dude.
Yeah, right? That's right. That's right. Live life to the fullest. So yeah, what brought you to the Navy, man?
Okay. So, the short version and long version. First off, we have a long running history of Navy guys in the family, but that's not really what kind of direction, to be honest with you. It was, I thought fire service was there. Forest ranger was kind of there. And I remember, towards graduation, one of my close buddies who's out in Philly now, and we'll get to that. We're sitting around and playing pool, and he's like, "Hey, man, we all got a tight knit group of guys. We got had a good mixture. We got the jocks, we got the surfers, and all that, and just all intermixed. And so me and John sit there playing some pool. It's like, hey, man, don't tell anybody, but I signed up last week, man. I go, signed up for what? What the fuck are you talking about? And he's like, signed up for the military, dude. Like, what? Like,
why would you do that?
Yeah, I go, but I'm like, hey, that's cool, man. And so, to be honest with you, man, like I kind of like crossed my mind a little bit too, and I said, hey, my dad, man, he was in the Navy, and grandpa and whatnot. And he goes, yeah, me too. And I go, I said, all right, man. So we got to talking about it. The next thing you know, a week later, I'm down off of, I was living Canyon country at the time. I don't know. That's that I always tell people Magic Mountain, right? That's the landmark I use, right? And out in SoCal. And I said, okay, so I go down to local recruiter station, and I had my aspirations of what I wanted to do, and signed up. And of course, they back then they got to get away a little bit with lying to you. You take the ASVAB, and in my case, I want to go into the buds, right? Back in the days, and you're good. So I get to boot camp, and my mind, I'm going, man, I'm going to be working out on the beach, man, and it comes to pool week, because everybody, back then at least you needed to swim. I don't think that's even a requirement in the Navy now.
No way.
What the fuck is doing? I'm gonna say, I know someone's probably fact checked me. I don't care, but I could have sworn I heard that. Maybe to pull my leg, but I don't know. I think things have changed.
I wouldn't doubt it.
A lot of shit. Yeah, right. The way things have been and going. So anyhow, all I do, I hear, I'm getting ready to get up, man, and I'm just big time swimmer and all that. And all I remember is, Walker, put your dumbass hand down. You're too stupid. And I'm like, wait, what? Apparently I was 3 points short. And it was arithmetic, reasoning, and word knowledge. Word knowledge was very high, but the arithmetic, reasoning, and they were looking for the whole, how I put it, where it was word problems, right? So train A, train B type of shit. And, so I kind of like, well, wait a minute, man. I didn't sign up for anything else but that. So I'm out of here. And, but I jumped in the pool anyways. And I don't think I never swam so fast, kind of turned heads a little bit like, holy shit, what did we just see? And then next week or so wasn't too good for me. And my dad, big cowboy of a dude, came down with his shit kicking boots on, and came down to San Diego, man. Had a little talk with me. Said, you better get your shit together, man. So, not a guy you want to mess with. So, it worked. And I was a model citizen after that. And went through undesignated. And next thing I know it, I'm in the engineering field. And they're sending me out to Hawaii. Oh,
man, that sucks.
Yeah, it was fucked. Like, what are you doing, man? They give you this little packet, right?
Yeah.
And they call them your dummy orders. And the guy's like, yeah, Walker, that will probably change on you anyways. And I'm thinking, in my head, yeah, okay. And so I'm pulling this out and I'm seeing the Halekoa, Diamond Head. I'm like, oh my God, like I hit the lottery, And
what year was that?
Holy shit, dude. That was 86.
Holy crap, you are old, man.
Right? Yeah, man. Like I was going to say, my ex used to say, I would tell her, I've been around for a minute. She like, fool, you've been around for a long.
You've been around for a couple hours, brother.
Couple hours.
Talking about a minute.
Shit, dude.
Yeah. So you got Shanghai, man. You got Shanghai to be stuck in the Navy. GI beans and GI gravy.
GI beans. I love it, dude. I've never heard that.
Oh, that might be. Are you being serious? You never heard that?
I've heard a lot of shit, dude. But what is that again?
No, I was in the Army, man. So every now and then
there's gotta be some Army shit there. Dude.
Every now and then we'd be like laying in the dirt in the cold, and just miserable. And this guy who went to basic with me named Steve Vichek, who I should look him up. But anyways, he was crazy. He was crazy. But he looked at me and said, GI beans and GI gravy. Gee, I wish I joined the Navy.
I got to remember that shit, dude.
Yeah. And I was like, dude, seriously, man. Because it was just one of those days. I went to basic at Fort Knox, and it got cold there, man. I'm from San Diego. And there, next thing you know, I'm stuck in freaking Fort Knox, Kentucky, just like getting rained on and being treated well by some sadistic people. My drill sergeant, by the way, I see quite often because he works at the commissary. Which is kind of strange, It's like, oh shoot, there he is.
Yeah.
But that's crazy. But we talk, and he acts like he remembers me, but I'm sure he doesn't. Yeah. I see him at Class 6 a lot too, by the way. So hey, Drill Sergeant Rollins, if you're out there, you know what's up. So Shanghai into the Navy, man, and before you know it, I mean, it seems like a pretty good deal. All of a sudden, you're headed out to paradise. Coming from Southern California, you got to do basic in Southern California, unlike Illinois, like all those other schmucks these days.
So I told you the backstory. I was thinking the backstory on my buddy John. Well, guess what the fuck happened to this guy? So he got his marching orders to an aircraft carrier that went straight into dry dock in Philly.
Mm-hmm.
So this day, still in Philly, family, everything, never left. Dude,
never left Philly.
Never left Philly. Dude, I know some pretty cool people in Philly. I talk to a guy just every other day out of Philly, man. And I'm gonna say, you know what? I got a small group of friends, but man, count them on just two hands here, man. And that's fine with me, because these are the guys that I've known since high school, man. And I still talk to them to this day. The guys that I was in the Navy with, still talk to those guys, and that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah. So he went to what do you mean by dry dock in Philly?
So the ship, right? Yeah, right. That's some Navy shit, right? That and that the beans and all that stuff you said.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool beans. So right. So dry dock. The ship will when it goes in for a servicing and whatnot, right? So it's goes into this dry dock. It gets pretty much up on these blocks. All the water's out, right? Goes into this berthing, and then at that point they're able to kind of just break this thing all down and refurbish it, pretty much. And an aircraft carrier, if you can imagine, would take some time. So they were there for a good minute, right? They were there for about a year, from what I heard. And then after that, it's just sea trials and then aircraft carriers, they stay out for a while. And yeah, man, he made a couple tours, and I think he did one or two enlistments like myself, and then he just posted up in Philly and hasn't looked back, man. So quite different. And like I said, I could see why, man. It's a unique place. It's a historical place. Got some real good people over there, man. Like I said, I talk to quite often. So, but nah, man, I got I got sent to Hawaii, man. God damn it. And
things could be worse, right?
So get this. They and it's funny how things work out, but the ship they sent me to was named after Lieutenant J.G. Bruton, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bubba B. Bubba was his nickname, and he was a Medal of Honor recipient, killed in action in Vietnam, right?
Oh, wow.
So, just a badass dude. And so, yeah, I guess you got to be right to have a ship named after you. And so that was odd. So I looked at it a couple different ways. Like one, like, are you trying to tell me something here, right? Like, as in the Lord, what are you trying to tell me? Like, you know what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't do it. Yet I could still retake that ASVAB like 2 years later. But you sent me to a ship named after Navy SEALs. So I don't know. And it was odd, right? So, but I found my niche, damage control, shipboard firefighter, and just followed on that path. And after my first 4 years, after the Gulf War, I went, I reenlisted, and then I went shore duty. But I wanted to go to the firefighting school and teach, right, on base, but they didn't have any billets for me. So the recruiter said, I'll send you to San Diego, send you back to Sandog, and the school there. Well, okay, so I'm getting the family all packed up, all ready to go. I sent them on their way. And, I packed up everything, all our belongings, and getting ready to ship that out. But I ended up heading down, and I'm a big surfer, right? So I remember going out, paddling out in this place called Miley Cove, and which is where eventually I named my daughter after Miley, and on the west side of Oahu. And I just had this kind of epiphany, like, man, I don't. There's a reason why I shouldn't be leaving this island. So, long story short, called Mama back, wasn't happy about it, and the family came back, and I'm now going to be going to. The code was 9545. It was security detail. So now I'm going to San Antonio, Lackland Air Force Base. See how the chair force, how they work. And I got through training there, and they taught me how to shoot a gun, and so I finally got to shoot a gun, and then so got that, and then sent me back to Hawaii.
No way.
Finished out my time there, and then soon got into fire service, man. But good times, brother. Good times.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about the Gulf War, man. We talk to a lot of people here on this podcast about, what I've experienced and what many of my, my colleagues and stuff have experienced, which was GWAT. We don't often get to talk to somebody who has some experience with the Gulf War. So were you on ship during the Gulf War?
So I was. So crazy story. Towards the end of my time on the Bruton, excuse me 1 second. Diane, they got to drink some more beer. Yeah. They sent me. They were looking for higher ranking personnel. They, higher ranking personnel to help out on the USS Goldsboro. USS Goldsboro DDG. They needed some personnel experience And so volunteered, which ended up helping out in the long run for me, right? So, but I should have learned, right? Navy, never again volunteer yourself. Here I am, still volunteering myself for shit. So,
volunteering to be on a ship,
and right. And so, I was just kind of digging up some old history on the Goldsboro, and I, from what I believe, I guess we were the first ones. To fire missiles during the Gulf War. So, wow. All over the news. If you look it up, USS Goldsboro,
really?
Gulf War.
Tomahawks.
Check that out. Yep, all that, man. We were, I believe, I think we were the first ships to fire, man. So quite an interesting bit of history right there. And we're cool. also doing some boarding of, different vessels and whatnot. Did some time in the Gulf of Oman, and quite the experience, man. Quite the times, but probably nothing like what you saw.
Well, it's a different thing, right? Like
it is.
I can't imagine being on a boat, with thousands of fellow service members.
As an aircraft carrier, I was on a small boy,
I'm like, dude, I feel like, seems like a big target. But I guess that's why you have all those planes and submarines and all that stuff to protect the aircraft carrier, right? But yeah.
So the ship I was on was only again, the frigate's only like 200 something guys. Goldsboro, a little bit more than that. So both small boys, protecting the carrier, so to speak.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So
we're taking what do you do? What do you do for fun when you're on a ship, a tin can?
My God, I gotta remember back. I remember that.
Play spades.
Spades. Talk a lot of shit.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's exactly right.
A lot of shit talking, brother.
Talking about people's sisters and stuff.
Sisters, moms. There's no
and no
nothing's no what is that? No free zone.
Nothing's sacred.
Nothing is sacred, my brother. Nothing at all. So, man, work. You're young, dude. You're young, so you kind of find fun in anything, right? So,
yeah.
You just do your time. It's kind of crazy, man. And you just you think of all the places you're going to go to, all the places you're going to see, and you just kind of fall into this routine. I enjoyed it, man. I really did. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the memories, but I'm going to enjoy making new ones. It was definitely a solid part of my life, and my dad kind of installed that discipline in us, and it definitely helped.
Yeah. If you have a little bit of discipline in your life in the military, turns out to be pretty easy, I found.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So, hey, let's move forward just a little bit. So, you have Navy and you just, it sounded like you decided to go into the Air Force, and eventually transition out of the military altogether. Of course, you transition, hopefully it's a smooth transition into the civilian firefighting force, or the Navy Federal Firefighters. How did you hear about that program, and what sparked your interest to go, GS firefighter?
Right. So that's interesting. So, before I got out, because I was short duty, there was a fire station at Westlock, right? Westlock was an area where one of the weapons were like offload and onload of weapons, right? And some of the ships that are put in mothballs are in the Westlock area, right? And kind of behind, I guess, Fort Island, if you would.
Yeah.
So there was this old Hawaiian guy getting ready to retire, and I used to, story with him, and as we say in the islands, talking, hey, how do I get in the system? Really not knowing anything about it. no one telling me, to kind of check it out. And he would tell me to bring him over to this application. Everything's online now, but then application and the deal was I'd have to bring him what we call a plate lunch, right? So I'd have to bring him some food with this thing. So this sounded about, yeah. So of course, I'm green, right? I'm like, okay, good. And in the fire service, there are traditions. Nowadays, it's more like you bring donuts and cake. You don't go visit a fire station unless you're bringing something in, or don't come back, right? So
right.
Tradition, but in Hawaii, a little different, I guess. So turns out this guy was just taking my applications and sticking them in the desk there, and really not doing anything with them. He just wanted the lunches.
Free meal, man. A free meal is a free meal.
Mm-hmm. So finally met a guy, set me straight, and was able to figure out how to get in. But then it was, it's a bit of a process, right? It take a little while. So I was transitioning out, and then started looking, for, various different jobs. Got hooked up right before I got out as a lifeguard with Hawaii for a bit, and but not long, right? Got through the academy and everything. But then I'd applied for a position on an island called Johnston Atoll.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, dude, it's shut down.
Didn't you have a family?
The second, so
say that one more time. You cut out for a second. I said, didn't you have a family?
Johnston Atoll. So the family, that decision I made to stay, not keep the family on the mainland, pretty much was that it for that marriage, man. She was originally from Oklahoma, never liked Hawaii, thought everybody was against her, and things kind of went downhill after that. So, kind of separated. She went back to the mainland. I stayed on Hawaii, finished out my tour, and then just kind of, went on and kind of a distant dad and get to the mainland to see him when I can. And then, but my work was in Hawaii, still had to pay the bills and everything. And that was that. Right. So they sent me, this job, ended up sending me to Johnston Atoll, and, it was a contract job with Raytheon Services, I believe at the time. And towards the end of that contract, I got a call from the Federal Fire Department, which brought me back to Hawaii, and that's where I kind of got my start with them in '95. So that was the start of my fire service, if you will.
Yeah, I want to go back to Johnston Atoll real quick, just because
it's an odd place.
Yeah, like I've seen some stuff about it. I've seen some YouTube video. It's like you're on a ship, but you're
exactly. Not. It looks like an aircraft carrier. It's about a foot of sea level. So every storm, everybody's being shipped off that island, and except for us, the fire department, we're last, right? So, yeah, right. Always last, man. Story of my life. And man, it's quite a unique place. Like about a half mile wide by mile and a half long or something. The main purpose of Johnston Atoll at the time was to dispose of chemical weapons.
Yeah.
Get rid of all the mustard gas, all that. We all had to carry around the gas masks on us, man.
Jesus Christ. Was there a bar?
So there was a little island bar. So you either drank, gambled, or worked out, man.
Or fornicated, I bet.
Well, there wasn't too much action on that island, man, for sure, man.
Not too good of a balance.
Not like Hawaii, dude. Yeah, slim pickings, brother, slim pickings.
But can you imagine being the queen of Johnston Atoll? I'm sure
there was, and she ranked about a 5 or 4 anywhere else, but on that island, she was a 10 all day long, brother.
Hey, you know what? You were probably more like a 2 because there's so much for her to pick from, right?
Dude, and she knew it, bro. She knew it, right?
That's funny, man. That's funny.
That's hilarious, man.
This is a little bit un-PC, but I mean, it is what it is. So, you know, you get what you came for. But yeah, so man, that's fascinating. I've never met anybody who's spent any time on Johnson Atoll, and I hope they had a good time.
Was crazy, dude. Like, I mean, you did I remember diving. I could pull out my PADI license, man. And that thing is, I got 93 or 94 on it, man. So pretty wild, right? So, diving with sharks. I remember going to that local bar area, a little barbecue pit, and getting some sliders, some burgers, and bringing them out and down, and little reef sharks, man. It was crazy. It was wild, man. I mean, you could fish out there, a lot of water sports and stuff, but quite a unique place, man. You work 24 on, 24 off, 24 on, 24 off, and just save money, man. I never had so much money in my life, man. Was able to pay off a lot of shit and put away a lot of money. So when I got back to the mainland, which was mainland Hawaii, yeah. So I was good to go, man. So, but yeah, I think it was back in 2004, shut that place down. And now it's just a bunch of, it's a wildlife refuge, nothing but like, what are those, man? Those, some of those birds or whatever, those, I forgot what they're called, but
pretty much only birds on that island, I'm sure. Right.
That is it, dude.
They should put some goats on it. Yeah, like Hawaii, it's just like run amok. Okay, so you get to the Navy. So this is interesting, right? So a lot of people who listen to this podcast listen to it because they don't really know what paths are to take. But this is an interesting path. The Federal Fire Service is still pumping, right? I mean, when I was overseas, we actually had some federal, GS. I don't know if they were GS. They're probably contractor. They were contractor American firefighters at pretty much every base that big base that I worked at. And I was like, wow. So I come from a family of, number one, folks who were in the Navy. I joined the Army. And number two, come from a family of firefighters. And that's kind of what, if you ask me when I was 8 years old, what I want to be a firefighter, just like my grandfather. And, and when I joined the Army, I said, can I be a firefighter? And they're like, no, not in the Army, buddy. And so that was the end of that dream, I suppose. But I suppose I could have forged, or at least tried to forge a path as a federal firefighter if I had pushed it. And to be honest, I didn't know that was an option. What is the difference between being a federal firefighter and being a civilian firefighter? Probably pay. I bet it's pretty good to be a federal firefighter as opposed to the other way around.
It depends. So now that kind of varies, man, on both sides. So a federal firefighter, we have the same training as any civilian fire department, right? So we're all pretty much trained the same. Now, do some departments work more than others? 100%, man. A lot of federal bases aren't going to get as much action because a lot of them, that is our bread and butter. Our purpose is to defend and protect the lives of the men and women that are serving overseas. They're deployable, we're not, right? So that is our purpose. Now, do we have mutual aid agreements where if, building, XYZ is building across, burn across the fence, it's that whole mutual agreement with the military and civilian, helping each other out, right? So that would happen too, but for the most part, that base is your concern. So, in the military, we're trained a lot on safety, right? So, it's a lot in fire protection and all that as well too. So we're not going to get the same emergencies. And then you got to look at the demographics too. Most military bases are all younger, right? So not a lot of medical issues there. Majority of the calls, 80%, anywhere are going to be medical. Just fire codes, things are different now, right? So things aren't burning the same as they used to. But some of your older, like, Midwest, back East, or traditional, older style construction. So we're still going to see a lot of fire in those areas, especially the inner cities, right? Where you got a lot of nut to butt, people very close.
For those of you who don't know, nut to butt is a figurative term. He doesn't actually mean putting anybody's nuts on anybody's butt. It's it just means packed in tight.
If you're not to butt, you're in the Army.
Hey, shots fired, man.
Shots fired. Brace for shock. Hey,
man. It's okay. You know what they always say is when you were turning into the wind, I was turning into your driveway. So
that's what we saw. That's what we tell the cops.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man.
Right. Divert it real quick. Divert.
No, so back to the Navy Fire Service or the Federal Fire Service. It seems like, did you know anything about it before? I mean, before you joined, and was it just like, it was probably like considered one of those things where you're like, dude, this is the best kept secret in firefighting. Don't tell anybody about it.
No, you know what? I've made a few attempts because, the grass is always greener, right? Grass is always greener. So, I'm young. I want more action. And several times I attempted to do that, like get on with Glendale. I remember San Bernardino Fire Department. I was slotted to go to the academy. I just never showed up. Got picked up by San Diego Fire, but always stayed with the Federal. I'm glad I did because it turned out to be the best thing for me. So my last duty station was Seal Beach, Naval Weapons Station, right? It was kind of like my sunset cruise the last 2.5 years there. And I was living in Huntington Beach at the time. So it was like 14 miles from the house. I'd cruise down 2.5 miles. There'd be the beach, hook a right, take PCH down, looking at the surf, and just going, what a life, man. This is bitching. And, and I go to the most bitching job in the world, right? It's at the fire station. And their primary mission was unloading of weapons at that place there. So we didn't really see a lot of action there, and that was fine for me. I would just work out all day long, keep Battle Series up and going and figuring that out. And, just preparing for my transition. So within that time though, I was able to, work on buying back my service time, which was huge. So anybody out there that's, looking to get out of your civil service or whatnot, and you've served, you pay X amount of dollars and you can buy back that time, meaning that, I served X amount of years. Well, there's a price on that. So that's equivalent to about like $5,000-$6,000. Right. But that gives me an extra, like, I don't know what it is, like $800 on towards retirement. So it's within that 1 year, you've already paid that, got that back. Right. And then it just continues on from there in my retirement. So that was helpful. And then also a lot of the guys there were savvy on the VA. Right. So they directed me, which was, I knew nothing about this, man, nothing about it all. I just, a lot of stuff that was going on or it happened or whatever. I just figured, that's just life. So they set me straight on, you need to order your medical records, this and that. So that was a game changer. And now I pay it forward by every time, like somebody comes and to the house and they want to, maybe the cable guy's coming. Turns out he's a veteran. Yeah. I was like, hey, did you know about this? And the majority you'll find out of people don't know or don't know, don't understand exactly what they need to do. And I honestly find more and more veterans that don't understand, the system. Again, it's already, I think, to help each other out. And
my man, you came about at a time where, you were getting out and everything in a time where it's just a different world. The 80s were not a great time for the U.S. military, unless you were, a Top Gun pilot.
Exactly right.
And then the 90s, I think, were probably a pretty low point for VA relations. If we discount, we don't want to discount, but I'm sure the people coming back from Vietnam and stuff and all those other wars probably didn't have a great feeling of it. But it seems like they're trying now, at least last few years or so, the VA, I think, is their heart's in the right place. And I think they're trying to do right by veterans. But the fact is a veteran has to help himself first. And sometimes they need to be coached by a person like yourself or myself to say, hey man, like if you do a couple hours of paperwork, you'll be compensated. But you have to put in the work, and you have to, but the other part is you have to know who to talk to, what tree to bark up. I myself, I got lucky. I never had any problem. I talked to a person as I was getting out. He helped me with my records, and I was taken care of. It helped that, I had spent a lot of time in GWAT, and stuff like that. But still, I always tell people, I'm like, hey, if you're not happy with what you got, or you think maybe things didn't go the way you wanted them to, you gotta go talk to somebody, and maybe they can help you out. Because let's just face it, for all the veterans listening out there, if you're hurt now and you're like, oh, I'm fine, the VA is not trying to. If you get a settlement of X amount %, it's not about how you feel right now. It's about how you're going to feel in 10 years.
Exactly. Right.
And don't feel guilty about saying my body's going to hurt like hell in 10 years. Let me get this checked out. Do not feel any shame or guilt asking like that question. I fell, or I twisted a knee during a PT test, or I had to do 100 ruck marches wearing 70 pounds and my back hasn't been the same ever since. You gotta go. If you're not already 100% permanent and total, go talk to somebody out there and say, hey, how do I get this documented? Because again, a good VA person will be looking out for you 10 years in the future or more, because that's really where the rubber meets the road. And I'll tell you, Cliff, when I got out, I was like, I feel pretty good. And it's only 3 years later.
Oh, yeah.
I've only been out for 3 years, and I feel the pains that I didn't feel 3 years ago. And I'm like, man, I'm happy that I was set up for success. Enough about me.
Oh, no. Well, no. And again, the guys that are out there, women that are listening, you got to remember, you're not just doing this for yourself, but you're doing this for your family as well, too. I do not have to worry about, as long as my kids get the grades that they need, the financial burden, the worry of them going to college is no more, because now they're taken care of. As long as they, pass the scores they need to and do their part, I mean, dude, I never would have thought of like my son, he's in his second year of college and bought and paid for. And this knucklehead also gets a slush fund of like $1,200 a month.
Wow.
What the fuck? Like, what is that about,
you
man?
earned it, man, and he's used it.
He's, and it's good. It's good. And he came the other day. Now he wants to get in the fire service. So we're looking at that. But, his mom's all like, no, he's got to finish school. So the agreement is, you're still going to finish this out. That's your word. And you ain't worth your word. You ain't worth shit, man. So I know that's going to happen. And then, now we're looking at him because, I've always wanted him also to do the service, whether you're an officer or whatnot. There's just so much that you could be experiencing that, 10, 15, 20 guys that will never experience or even know. So right now, fire service. So we're looking towards a couple different units, the Air Guard and Air Force Reserve. So they're all guaranteed he will get into the fire service, into the federal service without a doubt. Yeah, without a doubt. And the fire service, their training, IFSAC, right? It's the same training that the city guys have, Orange County guys, any of these departments have. So even if he doesn't want to go federal, he'll be trained up as long as he passes the local city tests and whatnot. But, again, I said, just because you're in shape and you look a certain way or talk a certain way, there's 100 other swing dicks out there just like you, but you got to bring something else to the table. You got to bring real life experiences. So, you could be double dipping here, man. You could be retiring from the military if you decide to stay within the reserves. I wish I did. I wish I did. Then I'd be getting 3 paychecks right now, right? So, but when you're young, you think you have forever. You know everything, you don't. And but if anything, it's a jump start, right? So that's cool. So he'll do that. Be in the fire service, and then finish out his schooling as well too. But man, it's a good deal. But back to we're talking about the VA and the claims and whatnot. It's a lot of information out there. A lot of information that's. How's that? Oh, there's almost too much now.
There's too many benevolent organizations, and some of them aren't too benevolent. Hey, exactly, so let's talk about the fire department and just the fire service, right? If I'm a young veteran and I come to you and I say, hey, Cliff, I'm considering different career fields. What would you tell a veteran who is considering joining the fire service, even, at a little town's fire department, maybe even starting off as a volunteer firefighter? What is it about the fire service that you think veterans specifically would be successful at?
Okay. Well, I'll tell you. And good question, man. Let's see if I get a good answer for you. First off, the fire department is a structure, right? It's a paramilitary organization. So right there, right? So, it's teams, right? So, you're only as strong as your weakest link there, right? So everybody plays a part, right? Everybody has a function. You have your chain of command. Sounds familiar, right? So it's very, very similar.
Maybe use the same terms, right? Like battalion and company, brigade,
all that, man. A lot of things that the fire service uses was taken from, the military, right? Because it's a proven, it's proven to work, right? So why not? Yeah. Why not in the fire service? So
and the consequences are real.
100%. The
consequences for not training or for not having discipline or chain of command control are real. People can die.
Real. People die. No, it's a job of you live or you die, man. That's it. It's on that note. I tell people, I don't know if you've noticed this, man, and I won't get too far off. I'll get right back on, but service just isn't what it used to be. Like, just first off, coming after the bullshit, all the crap we just came out of, and we're still trying to struggle out of. But like I said, now the science is there, right? The truth's there. Nobody wants to work, and if they do work, it's half-ass, right? And I found myself more and more, telling people, hey, I'm glad that you could. Okay for you, right? This is okay, just half-ass service, because I'll tell you what, if you called fucking 911 and I gave you half service, you could probably be dead. So we can't afford to give you half service. We go 100% or nothing, but you're going to get 100% every time. And we don't have, and if our bad days don't count either, man. You know what I mean? So you got to come ready, ready to go to work. That's it, because it's not only your life, it's the guy to the left of you, the guy to the right of you, and the people that, we swore to protect. So this shit's for real. So how do they intertwine? Very, very much the same. And that's what those when you go to those interviews and you pass that basic general aptitude test, right? They're going to be looking for life experiences. And the fact that you'd served, you've been, you were counted upon, right? For someone else's life, not just your own, transitions exactly into what we do in the fire service. Yeah.
Yeah. And much respect to first responders in general, but I have a special place in my heart, obviously, for firefighters. And as a matter of fact, like a house, like less than a quarter mile from me just burned down, like an old house, which is pretty depressing. Anyways, so I don't know why. I'm going to go on a tangent, just a tiny bit, and then we'll get back on target. So my grandfather was a firefighter in San Diego, and I think he became a captain or something like that. He ended up doing like a lot of investigations and stuff. But one of the most interesting things is, when I was a kid, I would ask him, hey, what was like the most craziest call you ever made or got called on? And one of the craziest calls that he got called to was the you might remember this, as a matter of fact, because you're about that age where you would, but in San Diego, and I think sometime in the 70s, an airplane went down, like a Pan Am airplane went down like on approach. But anyways, he got called to it. And I don't think he knew. I think he thought it was like a small plane, much like most of us thought when we heard, a plane had hit the World Trade Center. We're like, oh, it must be a small plane. Anyways, my teenage uncle, my godfather, was like with my grandpa, and he was like, hey, why don't you come with me? Well, they rolled up on a major commercial airline accident, and my godfather actually says it was like he was 16 years old. He's like, and just seeing body parts hanging from trees was horrible. I mean, he actually my godfather actually went on to join the Navy, but I think he wanted to be in avionics somehow. But he found out pretty quick he was colorblind. Anyways, he never had to serve on a ship. But anyways, tangent over. Let's continue talking. So again, I'm a young veteran, and I say, hey, Cliff, I don't really know what my path is. I would consider fire service. What would you say to about the fire service that and love so much? What do you think are the benefits of it, and why should a veteran pursue a career in that field?
So first off, it's something that you're very familiar with, right? You're very familiar with it. if whatever you did in the Navy, the Army, the Marine Corps, Air Force, Coast Guard, National Guard, whatever like that, if you like that sense of brotherhood, sisterhood, having someone count on you, you count on them, then it's for you. You know, it's going to be a great way to raise a family. If you also like to have time off, there's plenty of that. You know, we'd only work 10 to 13 days a month. There'd always be overtime, which is good. So if you want to make that cash, you know, I truly enjoyed working. You know, I spent probably about equal, a little bit less, but you know, more time at home, just a few more days, but almost equal. If you throw in some overtime with my family at the firehouse. So very family oriented, which is nice. And, you know, just that sense of belonging and pride, that you were used to. Right. So, but now you're making a lot more money. So yeah. that's the good side of it, man. And no day is going to be the same. There's always something different you're going to be called upon to do. And that was always the cool thing for me. I kind of did a little bit of everything, man. I, you know, got a chance to do a Johnson Atoll, which I think was a blessing. I mean, again, how many people will ever get to go out there and do something like that? So that was cool. And then, you know, going back to Hawaii, working there. And so when I left Hawaii, I got picked up on Vandenberg Air Force Base at the time, right? Because just because I was Federal Navy, you could, once you're in the federal system, check it out, you could go anywhere in the world, because anywhere there's military, there is a federal fire department. So, you know, and your time continues on. So you might have to change ranks or whatever like that, but that time counts and towards retirement. So unless you got a break in service or whatever, but that time counts. So in 2000, I leave Hawaii and I transitioned from the Navy Federal Fire Department to the Air Force Federal Fire Department. But it wasn't your traditional, what I thought it was, which is operations, which is the fire trucks, the engines, all that shit. It was at the time I didn't know it, but it was the only federal, because there's Federal Forest Service, right? Which people got confused. It was federal fire, but wildland. It was the only federal wildland agency in existence. And it was recognized. So we were a type 1 hotshot crew. So besides jumping out of planes, right, a jumper, you were the top of pretty much the top of the food chain, right? 22 guys able to, you know, sustain yourself with supplies for, you know, like 2 weeks out in the you know, out in the elements, right? So nothing but, you know, fire hoses, right? You got Pulaskis and chainsaws and, you know, shovels and yeah. So that was some cool shit, man. I saw more fire in the Forest Service. Well, it wasn't Forest Service, but it was like it, right? Wildland firefighting that I've ever seen anywhere. I mean, just some amazing shit, dude. In California.
Yeah, California is flammable.
So here I am seeing no fire really to some of the most like 150, 200 foot, you know, foot trees just crowning, man, just blowing up. And man, it was amazing. And so it's towards the end of the season. I'm just part-time, not full-time, which was kind of scary because I went full-time to part-time, and I'd remarried since then. And, you know, Mama did want to come out to the mainland at that point. She, you know, she's one that did want to, or she wanted to leave the island. And I promised her, said, yeah, we'll go to the mainland. So weeks, my season ended 2 weeks before my son was born, and went back to Hawaii. And then a couple of months later, it was time to get back to work. And I remember seeing this Wildland magazine, and there were some guys jumping out of planes. And I said, that's pretty badass, man. How do you do that? Right? Because I didn't do it in the Navy. So I was too stupid, remember? So found out that in order to be a smoke jumper, you have to do 3 years on a Type 1 hotshot crew. And then you have to go through a long process pecking order, because there's only 400 apparently jumpers in all of the United States, where there's hundreds of thousands of firefighters, right?
Right.
So they're an elite group, somewhat like you're used to, right? So if you have to look at the Forest Service or the Fire Service, at least in the wildland, but probably anywhere, that I would, that people would consider smoke jumping as the elite,
right,
of that type.
Yeah, they make movies about it.
Yeah, that too, right? So, pretty cool shit. I think a couple comedies they did too, right? What was that? What was the wrestler? Not Stone Cold, but there was another guy they did.
John Cena.
And, yeah, remember that one?
No, I didn't see it. Was it good?
It was good. I got kids, man. It's my excuse to look at cartoons and shit. I got kids. Right. So, I counted many times I've seen Moana with my son.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like you found a niche in firefighting, right? And like you end up, doing some pretty cool stuff and shit, dude.
Everything, jumping out of planes, the wildland shit. I was able to do it all, man. And, ended my career on a good high note. And it's been good to me. It's been good to my family. And at a young age, there's a lot of things you can do, man. And you don't got to rush into something right away. You might want to check out the Wildland Service, and it would look good on a resume. It look good in your interview. You'll never see as much fire as you would in the Forest Service. So a lot of different things you can do. Airplane firefighting, you name it, man. It's a good deal.
Yeah. And I think one thing that always stuck out to me when I thought about my grandpa in his time was, a lot of people think, oh man, like firefighting seems like you're working out a lot, but what a lot of people don't realize is 24 on and 48 off. You have a lot of time.
Well,
or whatever it is.
Different schedules. I would
Right. You have, but a good percentage of firefighters are also entrepreneurs.
Yeah,
because they have 100%. Some time on their off time. They're like, I'll start. My grandfather started a cabinet making business or something like that.
Oh, all of them do. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's a good opportunity. Like you're getting paid full time, but you also have an opportunity to explore other interests, which is something that a lot of veterans, I think, would benefit from. And that's kind of why, one of the reasons why I thought it would be great to have you on just to talk through that.
Oh, man.
But the number one reason, of course, and kind of bringing it full circle is, you are the founder and the CEO of the USS Battle Series, which is I don't know how you call it, a physical challenge of sense.
Right. It's physical, like CrossFit.
Yeah, like an event-based company that has, I think, one of the coolest niches ever, which is you guys do your workouts on decommissioned United States Navy warships, right?
Yeah, dude, it's crazy.
Tell me all about, number one, how the hell did you get the idea? Number two, how do you get the access? That's a crazy, I mean, and how's it going? Go ahead.
Well,
let's start there.
Okay.
How'd you get the idea? And when was this?
Well, okay. So 2016 was pretty much the birth of, this idea of competing on a flight deck at aircraft carrier, the USS Midway. And at the time I had mentioned earlier when we were talking, I mentioned the Firefighter Combat Challenge. Now, if you look that up, anybody, which some of our listeners might know of, it's a 30-year running event that was at first, when it first started out, Dr. Paul Davison started this Firefighter Challenge. It was a physical agilities test, and you take the military or fire department or police department, any one of us, and you give us a physical agilities test. We got to see who's going to get the fastest score. So boom, now we got competition, right? It's on, it's game on, right? And I think we perform our best when we're to the test and up against each other, right? It's all good brotherly, sisterly love, right? And so this is born, and then it turns into this competition, 2 sides, teams, relays. It's a worldwide fucking competition. They do it in Europe, South America, everywhere, and every year we all meet up on the mainland. And this year I think we'll be out in Utah, maybe. I believe. I'll have to check to see, but the Canadians, and it's a week-long event, hundreds, thousands of firefighters, and we're competing. So they're doing some rebranding. A lot of the Firefighter Challenge competitors CrossFit, functional fitness to stay in shape.
Yeah.
So what they're looking at doing is partnering with us and kind of doing this hybrid idea. So they travel throughout the U.S. We travel throughout the U.S. and we go to some pretty cool places, right? So they're now a nonprofit. They were for profit. We are a for-profit that's attached to a nonprofit. So GI Go Fund, located out of Philly. Yeah. So doing some great things, man. And people can look that up later. We can talk about that later. Mm-hmm. But so there was this gentleman doing these CrossFit events, but it was called the Firefighter Throwdown, right? Strictly for firefighters. Yeah. And a lot of the guys that I was telling about the challenge were doing this. So I'm one of the competitors. I go up to the owner, and I swear to God, to this day, I don't know why I thought I could do this, just because I guess I think in my mind I could do anything, right? Till told otherwise, or I just can't. So I said, listen, man, I want to go have your competition on top of that flight deck, right? We were at the San Diego, that convention center. Yeah. Yeah. And he kind of looks at me and goes, it was early in the morning still. So he comes back to me, he goes, hey, Cliff, are you serious about that? I'm like, yeah, I was serious about that, man. I'm a goddamn ex-Navy. I'd do anything. So, right. It's ships. Oh, man. And, I've known some people on the ship there, and we had some talks. Next thing you know it, we're setting up meetings, and we're going to have his next competition on that ship, right? And something happened. I'm not too sure what it was, but next thing I know, I'm getting a phone call, or I'm calling up saying, hey, I haven't heard anything lately. This guy decides to pull the plug, doesn't tell me about it, not returning phone calls. And I'm like, whoa, okay, what's going on here? And they said, what do you want to do? I said, well, I want to have a fucking competition. So not knowing anything, not an entrepreneur, nothing. But again, the no quit, just mindset, man. And which a lot of us in the military are about, I think. And so we end up having this awesome event. We get sponsored by this new company, and we have a phenomenal event that day, man. And then we follow up the next year with a couple more events on the USS Texas, in Texas there, LaPorte, Texas. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you know where that's at. Yeah. And okay, cool. Yeah. Cool little spot, man. The USS Texas, one of the oldest of that class, and beautiful ship, man. And then the USS Iowa battleship in Los Angeles Harbor. Mm-hmm. And then we kind of hit a bit of a slowdown. This was even before COVID, man. Just some personal things going on, kind of held up a little bit. Then all of a sudden COVID hit, and that kind of is what it was. And we went, as I said earlier, we went into dry dock, man. We said, okay, time to regroup. And
I think the whole
last
world
year we
did.
thought.
Cliff, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, hold on. This is 10:53. Okay, we had like a bit of a lull. I said the whole world went into dry dock, and you said,
I said, well, it's about time to come out. So we made an attempt to partner with. We did make an attempt. We partnered with TRX, and apparently some people think it's a pretty cool idea too, man, which I appreciate. So when we needed it, and we'd worked with them actually on a very small level, just to kind of test it out, year past, and then went a little bit of a lull, and then talk about what happened. So I said, hey, let's do this big event in San Francisco on the Hornet. And the Hornet was all happy about it, right? Because we're bringing attention to these museums. It's a lot of money to upkeep them, a lot of donations and stuff. So, so not only are we promoting health, fitness, and mental well-being for our military first responders, and trying to raise some money for these young men and women as best as we can, we're also going to try to raise awareness for these ships and the history that they've seen. I mean, they are a huge part of of who we are, right? So
let me just stop you there, Cliff.
Man.
The fact that your organization, let's put it in a nutshell, right? Your organization is something akin to an event-based organization, but the niche is you do it on these historical Navy properties, right?
Yes.
Now owned by nonprofit, mostly, or at least leased by these nonprofits, right?
Exactly.
I've been on several. I've been on the Midway. I've been on what's the one in New York City?
That's the Intrepid.
Yeah, I've been on the Intrepid.
Well, Intrepid, and then the Jersey right there in Philly.
I haven't been on Jersey. I try to stay out of Jersey. But the fact that you guys are bringing awareness, number one, to veterans issues. Number two, it's important to be physically and mentally fit, period. And number three is a lot of people don't really understand what the Navy does strategically. Most people now, if you ask them what does the Navy do, they only know what Navy SEALs do. They go out and they kill bin Laden and they write some books.
I'm looking at one right now.
Yeah,
Can't hurt me by David Goggins.
He did kill bin Laden.
No, he did,
but
another guy did.
No, he's very. David Goggins is an inspirational story, but no, the point is these ships are so important to the United States strategic projection. And a lot of people don't now, I don't think, especially younger generations, I don't think really understand what that means. But this is like a sovereign piece of the United States territory floating around the world. And then when you incorporate a aircraft carrier, some battleships, some frigates, it's an incredible projection of power. And in some of these ships, like I've been on the Midway out of Pearl Harbor. I'm sorry, the Midway's in San Diego. I've been in Pearl Harbor,
Missouri.
Yep, I've been on the Missouri, and you look at these things, and they're just, when you boil it down, they're just metal joined together by welds and a shit ton of wiring. But what they meant at the time was American power and strength throughout the world. And I think we really do. Look, I'm not trying to like humanize the USS Missouri or Midway, but these machines, when you go and you tour them, you realize that they are living beings for the time that they are serving. And for the time that we get to enjoy them afterwards, they're relics. They really are like they're veterans. And if you ever get a chance to walk in the steps, if you ever get a chance to go to the Missouri, which I recommend, if you ever, there's a couple submarines in Pearl Harbor that you can tour as well. If you ever get to tour the Midway or the Intrepid, or in North Carolina, I think it's the USS North Carolina. Out in I can't remember what city, Wilmington. And almost in the Alabama, I believe.
You're correct. Yeah.
No, these things are, I mean, when you're in them, you can't help but feel the pulse that beat or that was beating 40, 50, 60, sometimes 70 years ago. And I think we do need to pay tribute to them because it is an extension of who we are as America and our ideals as Americans, the best ideals of America, not all of them, you know. So I know I've been going on and on about it, but I think that these ships are so ingrained into the fabric of America and who we are, but so many people do not understand it. So I applaud you for what your organization is doing with bringing attention and focus to these things. Because when people are on, I'm sure there's a lot of people who join your events who have no fucking idea what they're doing and where they're doing it on. But at the end, they think, oh my God, this is like, I'm on a ship that was an integral part of American and world history.
Oh, I think it was when we were at our strongest, man, our most together as a nation. And, you know, it's funny you say that, you know, remembrance and teaching. I think that's a big part of what, honestly, if I had to critique myself, it wouldn't be too good on the really getting that part out there. And this time around with the rebranding, so to speak, you know, because we were first I don't know if you know this, but we started off as kettlebells and alarm bells 911 throwdown. That was who we were for the first couple of years. Yeah. And then it wasn't until I think 2018 towards the end, they became the USS Battle Series, and then America's fitness competition, right?
Yeah.
So but I think what I'm trying to say here is the focus needs to be more so on or equal to everything, because everything I think is equal. Obviously, what we're doing, what we're trying to do, but the history is too. So it's a lot. But if done correctly and done right, and I'm not trying to just, you know, run in here and just throw some one and done fucking competition on. I'm trying to do something that people remember for a long time. So that's the goal is to come back again and again and teach more and more people and try to get the word out there. So
what is the mission of the USS Battle Series?
It's I guess it's multifaceted, right? So it's to help those that have helped others, right? And remember those that aren't here anymore. And, you know, and that's important, man. And again, I, you know, without sounding like some old buddy dud, you know, or whatever like that, but it's important that we remember, you know, where we came from, where we are, and where we're going. And it's kind of fucked up right now, man. It really is. Yeah. And
the world,
I really don't have as much patience as it is, huh?
The world's fucked up right now. And I gotta tell you, I'm not gonna say we ignored Navy power, but you know, with the state of the world is in today, which we are recording on March 3rd, 2022. Putin has been in his invasion of Ukraine for, I don't know, a week or so, maybe more now. But I will tell you, U.S. Navy projection hasn't been as important for the last 40 years as it is right now, today. And we aren't executing it currently. I think we are. I take that back. Like I guarantee you that we are projecting U.S. Navy power, but we aren't executing U.S. Navy power. And to be honest with you, I'm fine with that for right now. But the strategic mission of the United States Navy, their battleships, their aircraft carrier groups, I think is going to be, here's my prediction, in the next year, 2 years, going to be alarmingly important. And we are going to regret that we haven't focused enough on that in the last 2 decades. Right? All right. I mean, that's my opinion, Cliff, but.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it right now there's, there's a lot to be said about what we aren't doing, what we should be doing. And I think is why we're seeing what we're seeing right now, man. But make no mistake about it, man. We might be being misled right now, but we're still the same fucking America. You know what I mean? And, people need not forget that. Yeah. There's a reason why they're still the strongest nation.
Yeah. And I mean, back to the USS Battle Series and the people, or excuse me, the pieces of United States property in which USS Battle Series is executed on is
right.
I mean, the world may not forget that the United States is a powerful strategic power. But anyways, that is a tangent. It doesn't have anything to do with USS Battle Series, except to say that the Navy is important. And I think bringing attention to these ships that have been decommissioned, I think is important. And I applaud what you are doing. And I hope you continue doing it. And I wish you nothing but continued success. I think it's a great business to be in, especially as we come out of the pandemic. And I think that you're going to have nothing but great success, because I think people are fed up about being alone, and they're fed up about having to motivate themselves not to be sedentary. They want that community that events like yours bring. And so I think, Mr. Cliff, that's what all the kids in the neighborhood call me, Mr. Cliff.
Right. Mr. Cliff.
And Mary Cliff too. But I think that your idea here in your niche is unique. And I think, and I applaud you for what you guys are doing. And I hope if you're somewhere where there is an event, what's your next event? What's your next 2 events, and how do people sign up?
So I'm going to suggest something a little bit, but our next event is going to be in Charleston, South Carolina, June 11th and the 12th, Patriots Point, on the deck of Yorktown, USS Yorktown, man. And which is quite an awesome ship, man. So it's going to be my first time there. I believe they also have.
Did you say it's your first time?
It's going to be my first time there.
Yep. And where I come from, Army Special Forces, anytime you utter those words, you owe a case of beer.
I like it, dude. Well, it might be an empty case of beer, but no. Yeah. It's funny because someone the other day has mentioned. I guess it was the lady was new. She's new to that ship as far as the special events. And one of the guys that he's my creative director, and he's we going to have, are we allowed to have a beer garden on that, on a ship? Because, we have to ask every ship. Usually it's not a problem.
Yeah.
He goes, oh, well, that's kind of odd. And I'm like, why is that odd? He goes, well, you guys are fitness. I'm like, are you kidding me, lady? We fucking some of the most, the fittest people in the world drink the most. Because we know we can, because we're in shape. We do what we want to do.
Yeah. By the way, Cliff Walker is a modicum of fitness, if I might say. You look like you're in shape, man. But hey, I appreciate you being here and joining us on the podcast, and I'm glad we got to learn a bit about USS Battle Series. I think that if anybody out there who, number one, is curious, especially, I'm not going to limit it to young 20s something soldiers, sailors, airmen, spacemen. I guess they're called guardians. But
I forgot about those guys.
Yeah. If you're transitioning out of the military and you're not sure what you want to do, but you know that you really enjoyed the structure and discipline of the military, find somebody who is in the the United States Federal Fire Service or in any fire service.
Yeah.
And just start asking them questions, because I think that's something that you could be comfortable with. And I'm not saying I kick myself. I'm just saying it's what I wanted to do when I was a kid. And sometimes, I think about it. And while you're at it, if you get an opportunity, check out the USS Battle Series.com.
Yeah, man.
And check out the events, because how fucking cool is it? By the way, Cliff, has anybody ever fell off the battleship?
Not to this day, man. But I'm sure.
I hope it doesn't happen, man.
Right.
You want to hear a funny story? We'll close it out. We're going on an hour and 15 minutes or so. It's about time to wrap it up. But here's the funny story.
I like it.
My father worked for the Defense Logistics Agency out of 32nd Street, San Diego.
Oh shit! Okay.
For a long time.
Exactly where it's at. Yeah.
Yeah. So one time when I was young, I can't remember how I was probably 10. There was a cruise, like a family cruise.
Yeah, Tiger cruise.
Yeah, for the USS Long Beach. And somehow, my dad, by the way, was a veteran of the United States Navy, and right after Vietnam, he actually got separated involuntarily. I think, from what I understand. Anyways, he wanted me to see, he took me out on a boat. He wanted me to see what it was like to be on a ship. So somehow he finagled passage for he and I on the United States or USS Long Beach.
Long Beach. That's so cool.
And I remember he worked on 32nd Street. But somehow, I had to sit on the floorboard of the truck that we had and covered in some blankets and stuff. And he basically snuck me on base. Which is weird. And then early too, earlier than I was used to waking up. And then we went out on this cruise for, a few hours. And at one point, I sat near the edge of the deck of the USS Long Beach in crisscross applesauce style, with my chin resting on my palms.
Yeah.
And I fell asleep.
What?
And when I woke up, I remember I woke up and I was I fell asleep basically sitting 2 feet from the edge of the deck of the USS Long Beach where I fell asleep. And I woke up, I was like, oh shit. And I looked around and I couldn't find my dad for a couple minutes, but I was like, oh my God, I could have fell asleep and fell off the deck of the USS Long Beach.
Yeah.
Thankfully,
just the waves, just the motion of the ocean put you in.
But you know what? That's how I remember it as a kid. But probably in reality, I was probably asleep for 5 seconds.
Yeah. Right.
Anyways, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Cliff Walker, CEO,
you're a sailor. You're a squid.
No, I ain't a squid, bro.
Hey, that's it. That's it. That's official.
Yeah, maybe. I didn't cross the equator. But Cliff Walker, founder and CEO of the USS Battle Series. You can find him at ussbattleseries.com. He's a Navy veteran. He did some time in the Air Force. Did I get that right, or did I imagine?
No. So the Air Force was just where they sent us for the all the military would go there for security training, like
okay,
military police.
We're in the Air Force. Yeah.
So it was training there, but never.
You weren't in the Air Force. Okay, I got that wrong. I guess I heard it wrong. Anyways, Cliff Walker, bona fide seaman, founder and CEO of the USS Battle Series.com.
Yes, sir.
Gulf War veteran, proud American.
Yes.
And thank you very much for joining us on the podcast. And I hope we don't make ourselves strangers.
No, brother. I was going to talk to you about maybe hosting something on the deck of one of these events. We'll definitely have to tie back in later, and maybe you do something live from the deck.
Yeah, let's talk offline about that. I think that's a great idea. Cool, man.
I think it is.
All right. So, hey, go check out ussbattleseries.com, especially if you like to take your shirt off, get tan and sweaty in front of a bunch of other tan and sweaty people.
We have women in our competition too, guys.
Women, men,
all that, man.
All of the above. I think it's going to be a great time. Cool, man. Hey, Cliff, I appreciate you joining us. God bless. And for all of our listeners out there, God bless you too.
Yeah. Thank you for having me, man. God bless everybody. God bless America.
Yeah. God bless America for sure. All right, everybody. So that's a wrap. Thanks for joining us for this episode of Return to Base. I hope you learned a bit about what Cliff Walker is doing at USS Battle Series and a little bit about a career option that many of us might not have heard of or even considered, which is, hey, you can go be a firefighter. And as a matter of fact, you could even be a firefighter as a part of the civil service or as a GS civilian. So pretty cool. Go to his website if you can at ussbattleseries.com. Check it out. Coming to a battleship near you. That's pretty cool. I wonder if anybody's ever fell off one of those battleships while doing this functional fitness competition. Hope not. And if they did, hopefully they could swim. If you will do us all a favor and visit VeteranLife.com, check out the stories and the things we got going on there. That's VeteranLife.com. And also, if you haven't already, shame on you. Please subscribe to this podcast. We really appreciate it. Until next time, thank you for joining us.